Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. I'm your host, Ben Cooley, and today I'm joined by two very special guests, Dan, the man Torgeman from America's Best Racing, and Corey Patton, the CEO and co-founder of Pramana Labs, which creates all of the free Statlines handicapping content on Equibase.com. Gentlemen, it's so great to see you. I've been so excited for this wonderful weekend of racing and to have both of you on. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. This is exciting. This is look, the calendar's turning to March. Hopefully the weather gets a little better. I mean, I don't think it get any worse. And on top of it, now the real Derby preps are starting. No dig at the preps we've seen so far, but these are the real preps that are starting now. So really excited to see what happens this weekend and moving forward.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we dabbled in those little, 20-point things. We kind of got a little bit of an idea here, but now with about 70 days or so to go to the first Saturday in May, we're really honing in with these 50 points. I mean, Saturday, 25 stakes races across 7 tracks, 2 graded stakes at Aqueduct with a 50-point Derby and 50-point Oak Prep. 8 graded stakes at Gulfstream Park Saturday with a 50-point Derby Prep, 50-point Oaks Prep, 4 graded stakes and 2 grade 1 races at Santa Anita on Saturday, including a 50-point Derby Prep and 50-point Oaks Prep on Sunday. So it's just unreal Saturday. And Corey, you're finally back on after your little medical hiatus.
We're not going to talk about that. We're all good. Just an Achilles, but we can still handicap and still make some cash some tickets, hopefully. But I see when you get to the Triple Crown time, you bring on the big guns like Dan. So I'll be complimentary to Dan being the primary handicapping.
Big Dan the man. Maybe some of you saw our live show at Pegasus World Cup about a month ago, and Dan and I will be on another live show this Saturday. So Dan, the world wants to know, our viewers, how can they tune in on Saturday's live show at ABR?
Yeah, so Saturday we'll be doing it in real time. We'll be watching the Fountain of Youth. We'll also be watching some of the big stakes races at Santa Anita. It all starts at 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific. It'll be streaming on our social media channels. You can check out America's Best Racing at ABR Live on Twitter, ABR's YouTube and Facebook channels as well. I believe it's also going to be streaming on Equibase. So you can go to equibase.com and watch it there as well. It should be fun. I'm actually flying down after we record this. I'm going to be flying down to Florida. It was supposed to be just sort of a low-key kind of one-day vacation, but there's other stuff to do down there too. So I'll do that, and I'll hop on the show, and I'm excited to hopefully find a winner or two. The Fountain of Youth, actually, I do have a price in. I'm excited to dig into that race because it looks like a chalky race on paper, but I think I've got something snaky. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about that.
I love that. I'm jealous you get to go to Florida. I love it down there. Gulfstream, one of my favorite tracks. Love it so much. That's where I'm going for my bachelor trip in April.
Nice.
Bringing the boys to Gulfstream. So.
Cool.
But anyway, today we'll be going over 4 races because it's just such a fantastic weekend. We got the Grade 2 San Felipe Stakes and the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap at Santa Anita, the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth Stakes at Gulfstream Park, and the Grade 3 Gotham Stakes at the Big A. So let's just start off in sunny Florida, the Grade 2 Fountain of Youth Stakes at Gulfstream, 50-point Kentucky Derby Prep, 1 mile and 16th on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was Dornoch. Trainer Danny Gargan with Luis Saez aboard. Dornoch went on to run 10th in the Kentucky Derby, but won the Grade 1 Belmont and the Grade 1 Haskell in 2024. Legendary horses have won this race. Scat Daddy 2007, Quality Road 2009, Union Rags 2012, Orb 2013, Mohayman 2016, just to name a few. And since 1991, 4 horses ran in the Fountain of Youth before going on to win the Kentucky Derby, those being 1994 Go for Gin, 1995 Thunder Gulch, 2013 Orb, and 2023 Mage. So field of 8 here in sunny South Florida on Saturday. Dan, you said you got a price. Let's get you a first race debut on your podcast debut on the Inside Track.
Well, I'll say this, in terms of looking ahead, Orb, you mentioned, was one of my horses that I loved this time of year, back in 2013, went on to win the Kentucky Derby. I don't think there was a Kentucky Derby winner in this field except for the possibility of maybe one horse. And that horse I am not picking in this race. That horse is Sovereignty. I am picking against Sovereignty here, and I'm basing it on the fact that I don't like the way he breaks. I don't like the way he starts his races, and I don't think there's any pace in this race, or there's not significant enough pace for him to close into. So where I ended up going, my price horse, the 7, very tough name to pronounce. I think Neo Equos. How are we saying this, Corey?
I'm going with that. You said it.
Neoquos.
Oh, I mean, I don't buy that. I'm not. I don't think so. Let's just say the 7 horse here for now.
Okay.
I mean, everyone will know his name once this race is over on Saturday because he's going to shock the world. Yes, he's coming out of state bred races at Gulfstream, but he is the clear-cut speed in this race. Irad takes the mount, jumps on for Safi, and aside from his debut when he lost the rider, his running, aside from that debut, did he lose the rider? Yeah, I think I'm like losing my mind because I like River Thames as well, and he's right outside. But aside from that debut, he's finished first or second every single race, and he's always on the front. And I just think he's going to go to the front. They're going to forget about him. And he's going to be, I don't know what price he's going to be because I don't currently have the morning line in front of me. But I think he's going to be a big enough price. And I think if they let him go a clip that, he could sort of settle into and get comfortable on the front end, I think he's dangerous. I mean, any of these horses are dangerous. I think at the very least, he's riding for a share. River Thames, as I mentioned, the 6 horse, impressive first level allowance, win last out. Won by six plus lengths, and then he also won by 5 on debut. I think when you have a horse who's winning by those amounts, and is doing it, he's still relatively green. The upside there is we have no clue what he might be, and for me, I'd rather have a horse like that who I think is going to be somewhat forwardly placed, sitting right off of Neo Equos or whatever his name is. That's the horse I'm scared of, who could be a freak. And
I mean, are you worried about him going from a sprint to route? He's never been over 7 furlongs.
I mean, I'm not. I've heard this knock on him that he may be distance compromised, but I think with this race shaping up with no other speed, I don't think he's getting involved in some sort of pace battle. I don't think he's going to find himself, in a 5-way go late where he's going to really have to dig in. I think he sits off the 7, gets first run, and I think if he's good enough, he's going to kick clear and he's going to win. If he's not, it's just going to be him in the 7. I keep calling him the 7, 1-2 to the wire. So for me, my play is to hammer that exacta. I've got respect for Burnham Square. I think he's the most informed horse right now. So I'm probably using him if I'm playing trifectas. But that's the way I see it. I really do see this as a pace race, one where you might be able to steal a nice price with a horse that could get overlooked.
Well, it's interesting. The Neo Equus horse that you mentioned, I mean, like Permana Stat Lines, over the last 21 days, Safi and Ortiz Jr. are 5 of 7, 71% in races at a mile or longer. Okay. And, Neo Equus, you like that exacta first or second, 80%, 4 or 5, first or second over the track, over the surface. So, those are things that you might want to put in your corner when you look at Neo Equus. I think the pace and the speed and the stretch out is kind of an interesting angle to look at. I actually went with the completely opposite of what you went. I went with a bit of chalking here. I think Sovereignty, honestly, it's one of those things where when you watch a horse, the way they perform late in their 2-year-old campaign and how the way he put it all together for Bill Mott back in October at the Street Sense was an incredible eye-catching performance to me. And when you see that happen with this royally bred, into mischief Bernardini combo horse, I mean, I think this horse could be any kind. And to me, I don't know if it's this horse is going to win the Derby, but I think it's going to have a lot to say in Saturday. And if Ben's going to pull up a race replay here of that Street Sense back in October at Churchill, and I know what you said about the way he breaks, and I get it. I completely get it. But sometimes when you see horses that break poorly, and you need a pace to run into, that's one thing. But if you look 2 back, he's been 2 lengths off of the pace. He's been closer up to the pace. He's run it before. I think in the last race, he ran from last to first, rounding every other horse in that race, and pulled away late against a really soft pace. 48, 112, and 3. I mean, they went to almost 24. They did a really soft pace, and he still managed to close and pull away. So I don't know that he's pace dependent, which I really like. I think in that race, the last race, he beat Sandman. And, Sandman's come back to run some decent races. And I don't think Sandman's, a world beater, but man, he just, he came back to win his next race, then finished second in the Southwest and just ran a closing third in the Rebel to my horse Coal Battle. And he ran a 101 and a 100 speed figure. So Sandman's a quality horse, and this horse just, dusted him last time. So I think he's got a right to improve. I think he'll probably be a little bit closer than dead last in this race, hopefully. Bill Mott, 3 of 7, 43% the last 10 days. He and Junior Alvarado, 3 of 6 the last 10 days together. They won 2 of 4 route races together. Bill Mott has started, since this Gulfstream meet opened, he has started 6 stakes races, 6 horses in stakes races, 1, 2, twice second, once third, once fourth. No worse than 4th and 6th. So he's running well. His horses are showing up in stakes races. This horse is going to have a lot to say with the action on Saturday. And I don't know what price we'll get, but I think this horse will probably be there in the winner's circle, in my opinion, after this race.
I think he's the most talented horse in the field. Honestly, I think the long-term outlook, if I could own any one of these horses, it would be Sovereignty. Yeah. I just don't know that this is the race for him off the layoff and with some of the concerns that I expressed. But everything you laid out, he just might be so much better than them that it doesn't matter, right? But yeah, look, there's a lot of quality horses here. You got to take a stand somewhere. Another one, I don't know what you guys think about Keep It Easy, but that's another horse.
Keep It Easy. That was a really interesting horse. I had, especially Dale Roman's winning at 31% this Gulfstream meet. And Corey Lanery basically flying down there just for this horse. He's on Madeline's Story or something in the undercard, but it's a claimer. So he's basically coming for this horse. So that was something to see. But I'm just gonna say it. Burnham Square. I know it'll probably be a big favorite, but honestly, everybody has been talking up Sovereignty so much. That's Pete Fornatale's Derby pick, by the way, as of last week.
Oh wow, so, okay.
Yeah, he was on last week. But Burnham Square, to me, this race, like you said, Sovereignty might be the best horse, but horses for courses. This horse just loves Gulfstream and loves his distance. It started out his career, ran second at Keeneland on debut, going 6 furlongs on the dirt, ran a 69, nothing impressive. They ran third by just 3/4 of a length in the maiden special at Churchill in late November to Monet's Magic, who came back out to win the next start. Then adds blinkers, adds Edgar's IS, and goes to Gulfstream, and everything connected. Breaks his maiden by 9 lengths, running a 94. Equibase speed figure going 1.16 on the dirt at Gulfstream. First start with blinkers. And last race was ultra impressive in that grade 3 Holy Bull on February 1st. Tough post way on the far outside, broke dead last, went way, way wide in the first turn, lays last halfway through the backstretch and just kind of moves his way up a little bit on the rail, then goes way out to the 5 path in the final turn and just pulls away by 1 3/4 lengths. And they were, him and Tappan Street were 11 lengths ahead of the third place finisher, Burning Glory. But anyway, so I decided to go back and look at the GPS to see how far he really traveled. So he did travel 5,656 feet. For reference, 5,610 for 1.16 miles. He did that in just 228.1 strides. To give you an idea, Tappan Street had less feet traveled and did it in 241 strides. So I know I'm getting a little bit technical, but that horse can run, and maybe later on he wouldn't be my pick for the Derby, but for a grade 2 at Gulfstream Park, I think this horse has got it. And he's ranked second in late pace rating with a 101.5, ranked second at average speed with an 88. Every single start's increasing Equibase speed figure, so I love it. But Sovereignty, that was mighty impressive. Kind of reminded me of the Chance McPatrick type deal. Just last.
Are you going to crown him already, Ben?
No. Chance McPatrick is up here. That's
who's the bar.
Next week, I cannot wait. Finally, the Tampa Bay Derby.
We're going to have a good time on the pod next week for that.
It's gonna be exciting. Anyway, so all three of us picked different horses this Fountain of Youth, which is interesting.
Which is good. And Ben, when you did that feet travel thing and the strides, I literally simultaneously, it took me to when you were talking about, how many feet to a mile, like the SNL skit. It brought me to that. And then it also brought me to the Zach Galifianakis, like all the numbers, kind of in his head as he's trying to figure out, so two great visuals.
It's the Always Sunny thing in the mailroom with Charlie, and he's got the cigarette. And
Pepe Silvio. Exactly. That's it. I love it. That's probably the best reference. So awesome.
Well, good deal. Well, there is your Fountain of Youth. And let's move on to these amazing Santa Anita races. I'm so stoked. with his grade 2 San Felipe Stakes. Obviously, at Santa Anita, 50-point Kentucky Derby prep race, mile and 16th on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year, winner was Imagination for trainer Bob Baffert with Frankie Dettori aboard. Baffert has won this race 9 times throughout the years and is bringing 3 big hitters on Saturday with Barnes, Rodriguez, and Mellencamp. Since 1991, 6 horses went on to win the Kentucky Derby that ran in the San Felipe Stakes, with 3 of those horses being trained by Bob Baffert. 1997, Silver Charm. 1998, Real Quiet. 2000, Fucciacci Pegasus. 2005, Giacomo. 2014, Cali Chrome. And 2020, Authentic. Fantastic race for our future stars of tomorrow. The more I look at it, I'm just so excited. But Corey, Mr. Santa Anita, who you got?
Look, I could go on about 10 minutes of all the Bob Baffert stats, right? And it's just going to be boring and mundane and people will fall asleep. And I could try to go against the heavy favorite and try to find somewhere else to play here. And I'm pretty sure Ben's going to go somewhere else. I know that. But Barnes is just, look, to me, I think Barnes, I was impressed by the first couple races. I think the horse is, I mean, it's just a physical specimen. I mean, just travels so effortlessly. Really, what put me over the edge, and this is not going, this is chalk. So thankfully you've brought me to 2 races already, which I'm going to pick chalk. So I got some value left. Next, I have ultimate value in the next couple of races we're going to talk about. But in this one, I'm going with Barnes. There's just no way to get around that workout on February 17th.
Yes. Oh my God.
I don't know whether you can pull that video or not, but my God, that's the one that just said, okay, that's scintillating.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we do not have the rights to that, but we can't show it. But
yeah,
it was ultra impressive.
I mean, just completely dusted of another Bob Baffert barnmate, Flying Drummer, who is an older 3-time winner and on the comeback, who posted a 103 and a 111 speed figure in his last 2 races before the layoff, both wins. And Barnes just made him look like he was standing still coming into the lane and just taking off and moving just so easily. I know people ask whether he can handle 2 turns. There is nothing that says this horse isn't going to turn into mischief. American Pharoah is not going to handle 2 turns in my mind. From a pedigree standpoint, I think he could just be too much for this field. And while I do respect the other Bafferts, and I love journalism, I'm a journalism degree. It's a little bit of, I love soft spot in my heart for that name. I think Barnes might be better than that horse, but and no real secrets here, no real excitement. It's that workout on the 17th, the Bob Baffert angle, the breeding of it, and I just think it's probably too much for this field.
What I think when I think about Barnes is like how many truly amazing Hall of Fame horses Bob Baffert has trained, and he always said he'd name his most special one after Jimmy Barnes, and here it is. I mean, if that's not a big telltale, so just something else to think about. But okay, Barnes, there it is. And yeah, that workout was unreal. Go to santanita.com or First Bet to watch it, because it is just really, really impressive. But Dan the Man, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way Barnes loses is if they say, you know what, we want to have him sit off the target and see if he can run a horse down, and they take him a couple lengths back, really kind of make him somehow uncomfortable. And if that other horse that's on the lead is Rodriguez, and Rodriguez gets away with like just silly slow fractions, and Barnes is sitting off of him, stablemate, just kind of, protecting him, and maybe Rodriguez runs the race of his life and he ends up winning. But I agree. I landed on Barnes. I mean, the horse is just, he looks like, again, just like Sovereignty in the last race, so you kind of just look at the race, you're like, all right, this is probably going to be the best horse that comes out of this race long term. Barnes is the most likely Kentucky Derby winner out of this race. Yeah. I've got to go with Barnes. I didn't have anything too creative there, where I thought maybe you could make some money. And I did mention the pace and race dynamics with a small speed without any obvious, with a small field without any obvious speed, except for maybe Barnes and Rodriguez. I think the most likely scenario is him running 1-2. The only horse that I thought that could kind of split them would be Journalism. So we do have a replay for Journalism that I thought would be good to watch. I mean, this was the Los Alfuturity in December. Small field there as well. He's on the outside, covers a good bit of ground. You're going to see him here coming on the outside. So he's wide all the way around. And the thing was, the horse in the front, Getaway Car, who just won the Sunland Derby, by the way. You could scoff at the Sunland Derby, but it was a decent field. I think
that was an epic finish against Caldera. That was one of my favorite races of the year, honestly.
100%. So, and the thing about Getaway Car, now look, Getaway Car was loose on the lead, was really unchallenged, and you could see. Look how, I mean, Getaway Car is still running here. I mean,
yeah,
he's still running, and Journalism is opening up ground on him there. So, look, you're getting a fresh horse here. Has had a couple of months here to work into this race. He's the only horse who's actually raced and won at a mile and a 16th, for what that's worth. I mean, obviously, all these horses will, here at some point have run a mile 16th, mile and an eighth, and some of them will excel. But to date, he's made the distance and has looked great and looked like he wants even more distance. I think he's just a horse with a massive ceiling. For Mike McCarthy, and I don't think he's going to be too far back, right? I mean, Umberto Rispoli's not going to be, let me let Barnes and Rodriguez go. And they're not. They're just not. They're not
like the juvenile with Citizen Bull. Same
exactly.
thing. He's not going to let him go. I agree.
Exactly. So yeah. So Journalism for me is, I think, the horse that could split them. But then again, I'm not giving you like a 10-1 shot here. What's Journalism going to be? 5-2, 3-1 at most. I mean,
right? Literally, this whole field is going to be like.
I mean, like Barnes. I mean, I'm figuring Barnes is going to be even money, right? And then
maybe less.
Yeah,
I would say less. I would say 1-5 maybe on him.
Oh, really? You think it's that? Okay, maybe I missed all. Well, I guess you mentioned the buzz with the work and all that, but yeah, maybe he'll be less than that. So if he is, and if Rodriguez takes money, which I can't imagine he won't, and you think Rodriguez is second choice or Journalism is? Oh, really? Okay. Okay.
But Rodriguez, that's a horse not to forget about. Beat Baeza by 7 lengths.
Mm.
And that horse came back to run a 106 and win by however many lengths. I mean, that was really impressive.
Yeah. The only other horse here, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, if you want to have some fun with it and like just smash a straight trifecta, right? If you like Barnes on top, you take your pick of Rodriguez or Journalism second. And if you wanted to throw a price in for third, I thought Mellencamp was potentially interesting. He's not really fast enough to hang early. And he's still a maiden, but he did seem to take a pretty significant step forward last out. Posted career best buyer number and a 92 Equibase speed figure, which nearly matches career best. I think with the rail draw, and I mean, not that it's a massive field, but just being able to just kind of hug the rail all the way around, you may have a couple of horses chasing, which might allow for Mellencamp, if he could take another step forward, to kind of sneak in there for third. If you want to, again, smash a trifecta, hoping that there are no scratches so that you could still actually bet the trifecta. But yeah, he would be my only price horse that I could even conceive of hitting the board.
Yeah, honestly, in a race like this where you kind of think you could single, I don't think you can. Personally, I don't think you can single Barnes. And I know you know what I'm going to say. I love Journalism. He didn't let me down in the Los Al Futurity against the other Baffords. I don't think he's going to let me down this Saturday. Wicked fast curling colt out of Uncle Mo Dam from the Michael McCarthy barn, as you said, with Rispoli aboard. Journalism ranked first in average class, first in average speed, and first in late pace rating as well. That's huge. Lost on career debut to Smooth Cruiser the Mellencamp, the 5-1 horse here. However, once he got that route distance, he just shined. Broke his maiden at Del Mar by 2.5 lengths in mid-November, running a 103 Equibase speed figure. Then last out, he runs in that Grade 2 Los Al Futurity like we saw. My play on the podcast, you did me right, and just won easily by 3.5 lengths. Ran a 104 there. That was in mid-December, so he's yet to run back. But the second place finisher was Getaway Car, who we just saw win that Sunland Park Derby. And then here's another great stat. McCarthy and Rispoli went at 39% with winners last time out together in the last 3 years and 66% in the money, with plus 45% ROI. Yep. And they went at 20% in graded stakes races and 26% together in the past 3 years at all races at Santa Anita. So it'll be really interesting. I find it to be a 3-horse race between Barnes, Journalism, and Rodriguez. If I was could bet on this, I'd say that we're going to be 15 lengths ahead the rest. But we shall see. It's going to be a fantastic showdown. So there you go. They're going with Barnes, and I'm going with Journalism. And now I think the best betting race of the weekend, the Grade 1 Santa Anita Handicap, 1.25 miles. Derby distance on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was Newgate for trainer Bob Baffert with Frankie Dettori aboard. Notable winners include Tiznow in 2001, Rockhart 10, 2005, Lava Man 06 and 07. Game On Dude won this race 3 times, 2011, 2013, 2014. Shared Belief won in 2015. So competitive field of 9 for Saturday's feature at Santa Anita. I loved handicapping this race. But Dan the Man, let's go back to you.
Yeah, so whereas the first 2 races we talked about, I wouldn't expect to see any, pace battles. I think you've got 4 horses here who, their game is going to the front. You got Miramati, who seems to be, obviously that horse needs to be in the front. The one race that he was in his last 3, he finished well out of it. On Equibase, on Race Lens, the race projector, you've got Midnight Mammoth is projected to be on the front end, and as the main pace setter. And then you've also got Tarantino on the outside and JB Strikes Back. So you've got 4 horses who, in their most recent, 3 or 4 races, are all either on the lead or just right off of it early and going very fast. And when they're not on the lead, they're nowhere to be found. They're getting beaten by 15, 20 lengths. So those horses all need to be in the mix if they want to have a shot. I think if you're looking for any one of those horses to survive an all-out pace battle or to still be standing at the end, I think Tarantino is quality. I actually posted yesterday. I was like, I apologize to this horse. I was not familiar with his game. You watch this horse's replays, he's always caught up in some crazy pace, and he's always still there at the end. He doesn't win all the time, but he's always right there. He's a real gutsy horse, and I think the outside draw is going to help him a little bit. And if he could, be a little patient, if they could settle him down a little bit. The others don't want to settle down. Midnight Mammoth, Miramati, they have no interest in settling down off the pace. Tarantino might. So all that to say, the pace is going to be fast, and I think it sets up for the running style of the best horse in this field, and that horse is Locked. So I don't know if I need to make a case for Locked or if it's obvious to everyone else that Locked is just the best horse in the field, but he is. And they're probably, that there could be a scenario in which him shipping in off the Pegasus World Cup, maybe. He's run once at Santa Anita, finished 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Maybe there's some sort of scenario where he's off on Saturday, but if he's not off and he brings his A game, he should win. And if I'm going to throw in a price underneath, I went with the 2-horse New King.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So there's, he's $700,000 into Mischief. Obviously he's not some deep secret, but he is a little bit of a late bloomer, and I think he's primed to take another big step forward here. I don't know if he's good enough to win. I don't think he is, but I'd be shocked if he didn't hit the board. So
I have so many questions. Why is Locked going out here? Why didn't he just stay in Florida?
Yeah.
And then why are you putting blinkers on when he really didn't do anything wrong in the Pegasus? Why now? I don't know. To me, those are just bad signs.
The blinkers scare me more than anything. I don't mind shipping out for this race. This is this is one of the great American races, right? This is the big cap. I like the idea of coming. It's Eclipse Thoroughbreds. They want, who wouldn't want to be in this race? And it might just, for whatever the next step is, it might fit well with the horse's, calendar for the year. So I don't mind shipping out. The blinkers I don't get. I don't know, Corey, if you have any insights on the blinkers.
Honestly, I loved Locke on his comeback at Scar Mile. I thought he was.
Yeah, that was your top play on the pod.
I thought he was fit and ready, and I thought he was going to set up for a beautiful campaign this year. And then all of a sudden, now we're shipping down to Florida. Obviously ran well, but didn't win. Now we're going to ship all the way across country, the farthest you can possibly go to run in this race, and then he'll probably ship all the way back and go. I just feel like we're really asking a lot of this horse to come out and perform as well as he could had he stayed home, trained up to another big effort there. But I do get your point about the big cap. It's just a premier race. It's one of those that everybody looks forward to in the calendar year. Myself being, a California horse racing kind of lover, that was always the big race that you looked at in the year. One of the big races, obviously. But I think also when you look at this race, there's a couple of things. You mentioned it, Dan, and I agree with you. There is speed signed on in this race for sure. I do think that it's interesting that only one horse in here has ever won at this distance. I mean, you got a bunch of older horses in the big cap, and only express trains ever won at a mile and a quarter in this race in 2022. That's it. So you can say, oh, these horses, none of them excel at this distance. There's not like a horse that you say, oh, it's a professional distance, just a sure shot here. I think there's questions on some of these, even though they're older, right? I think Santa Anita is a different track to handicap in a way, in that the speed on the West Coast is different, and it seems to end a lot of shippers' dreams, to be honest. It carries further. We'll need to watch the card early on, but sometimes you end up with horses that just go on, and keep going and re-break kind of in a way. And I think in this case, and it may just be me because I love Doug O'Neill, I think JB Strikes Back. Whether he's good enough to win or not, I don't know. At 30-1, will be somewhere in the mix here in this race. And if you just look at his running line, and this is a classic Doug O'Neill reclamation project. And that's why I said I had chalk in the first two, and now I'm way out on the ledge here.
You're averaging out.
Yeah. But I mean, he does look like a good claim. Whether he's, big cap worthy, I don't know. But he dropped that into that maiden claiming 20 last July at Del Mar. And, Doug lost him, and then he claimed him back in his next race for 25. We have a claiming horse that's running in the big cap right now, right, at 25. And since then, he's done nothing but improve and just keep winning. And he captured that grade 2 if you can kind his last, where he was on the lead in a pace battle the entire way. And he beat and put away your horse Tarantino in that race, right? So he can battle on the front end. And if you look at the fractions he carved out, I mean, he's by Golden Sense, has every right to keep improving, won 3 straight. And in that last race, 22-4, 45-3, 109-4. Okay. And then held on in that duel to put away Tarantino and win. And if he carves those fractions out, and that was at 1 1/16, so there's a bit more work to do there, but he carved out some pretty good fractions, which would put him close to, if not on the lead in this race. And just when he stares down a horse in the lane, he seems to keep winning, keep running in these races in these last 3. This is a big step up. On paper, I know his running lines look a bit below the bunch, but I love a horse who likes to win races, has the speed to be on the front end. I think he gets the lead. We'll see. And I think he might just stay for a piece of it deep in the lane at a huge price. And I mean, Freyu has been running well with Doug in stakes races. He's won on board Raging Torrent twice. He knows how to get the job done. And at 30-1, I'm taking a juicy price in here against a couple of horses shipping all the way across the country. That'll take all the money, and the local contingent may just have speed to stick.
So much respect for 30-1. Never in a million years did I think that this race would start off with both of you talking about horses who were claimed in the past year in the Santa Anita handicap between Tarantino and JB Strikes.
Well, you said this was your favorite one to handicap of the weekend. I mean,
it is. I got a price too.
There's value. It's not just chalk. Yes, Locked is probably the best horse. Hit Show, probably a better horse.
3-2 morning line, by the way, on Locked. I think it's ridiculous.
Oh, really? 3-2? Okay, well, I'm not as excited. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be 5-1, but
and 5-2 on Hit Show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Choice. Yeah.
Okay.
But everybody else is a price. So,
well, who was your prize?
New King. Absolutely love this horse. This horse is like so interesting. How many times do we have to say the other Baffert?
Always.
Very lightly raced 4-year-old into Mischief colt for Hall of Famers Bob Baffert and Mike Smith. Ran once at the end of 2023 on career debut. Ran 4th by a couple legs. Takes a 13-month layoff. Comes back last January, run 3rd in a maiden special weight at Santa Anita. Then takes another 12-month layoff to break his maiden at Los Al, going a mile in the dirt, running a 97. Ran 4th in AOC at Santa Anita on January 4th to stablemate, and I think who is the rabbit in here, Miramati. And then wins last time out in February 2nd, AOC at Santa Anita, running a tremendous 106 Equibase speed figure. This horse was a $700,000 yearling purchase, and he only has run 5 times in his career. I think I've held on to him as long as I have for a reason. Love Mike Smith aboard in the past 30 days. Mike Smith is winning at 38%, first time riding at 71% in the money. Smith is winning at 26% in dirt routes this year, 9 wins from 34 starts. He hasn't had a whole lot of mounts. Baffert wins at 31%. I know a million Bafferts statistics, 70% in dirt route graded stakes at Santa Anita, and 42% dirt route graded stakes races at Santa Anita with horses who won their last start. But I don't know. This horse really interests me. And the fact that, the only reason they're not a coupled entry, I guess, they changed the law back in the day. But I mean, look at that. These exact same owners, exact same trainer. I mean, why are they running these two against each other again? I think Miramati is just going to go out in like 20.9. I think it's just going to set up perfectly for New King. And he's 8-1. So I will take that all day.
Beware of the longer price of the uncoupled entry, especially when it comes.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that was, I love handicapping this race. I kind of like Katona too, but I don't know.
I would say if we're stretching for another horse here, and Corey, you mentioned him briefly, I wanted to make a case for him, but just watching the last couple of replays, I was like, oh, man, this horse is really hitting a wall as soon as he hits mid stretch, and that's Express Train. I remember 2022, like, I mean, I was on him in the big cap, and I remember hit pretty nicely that day, and he's had all these issues since then, missed large chunks of time. I mean, he's on the rail. You know where he's going to be sitting. He's going to be sitting a couple of lanes off them. It's going to set up perfectly for him. The question is, like, does he have enough left in the tank? Can the old man, dig deep and find a way? I don't think it's impossible. Like, crazier things have happened. And you mentioning Katona and him being beaten just a couple lengths by Katona last out. I mean, I think Katona is probably going to be a shorter price, and people are going to completely overlook Express Train here. But I mean, just so much back class. I know he's 8. I know he's had issues, but man, this horse is honest. He always runs at Santa. I mean, he always puts in his, an effort. I look, he's going to be there. If you're telling me he's going to hit the board at what's the morning line? Do you have it?
10-1.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he'll be higher than that, right? I mean,
I think he'll be higher than that for sure. Yeah, I'll give you 12 to 15-1 probably.
Yeah. I think he you know what? I just talked myself into it. He's going to hit the board.
I mean, he hasn't run less than 100 Equibase speed figure in almost a year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. The back class said something. Show me the last time he finished worse than 4th. Look at that. Look at your way back. He finished 6th in August of 2021 in 2021. So the last time he finished worse than 4th.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. He's a racehorse. He really is. I mean, he's impressive.
Before we move on though, we haven't even mentioned Hit Show. We should at least mention something. This horse traveling way out here for Brad Cox, Flavian Pratt, arguably the greatest stakes duo ever at the moment. I don't know, man. I just something about it doesn't seem right. I just didn't.
Do you treat him the same way you treat Locked, or is there any difference in the way you look at him?
I actually like Hit Show more than Locked, I'd say, just because it's Pratt.
Yeah.
But honestly, both those guys just don't really interest me. Honestly, it's different. It's a different speed, like Corey said. It's a different track. I mean, they're going to ship into like a shark pit,
I fully agree, and we probably just put them both 1-2. We probably
right. We probably
it's going to be the lowest priced exacta of the day, probably. Unless like Barnes, but yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen.
I don't know. And Mike Smith, we trust. But there we go. We're all going different for the Grade 1 Santa Anita handicap. And last but not least, another 50-point Kentucky Derby prep. The Grade 2 Gotham State, or Grade 3, Gotham Stakes at Aqueduct. A mile on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Last year's winner was deterministic for trainer Christophe Clement with Joel Rosario aboard. Since 1991, there's not been any Kentucky Derby winner who has previously ran in the Gotham Stakes. So kind of interesting, but field of 10 here at the Big A on Saturday. Corey, let's go back to you.
Yeah, I got a little value here, I think. I didn't when I broke this race down, I didn't love it. I wasn't. Yeah. I'm not sure there's a ton to follow in here. I mean, these are nice horses. A lot of them are state bred and restricted stuff, but I'm not sure there's a ton to follow. But I did find a little bit of value in here. I think there's some nice state bred horses in here as well. But I ended up going with a Kentucky bred on the outside with Mai Mitole. Nice. I ended up. He loves the Aqueduct dirt mile configuration. He's 2 for 2 on this 1-turn mile. Obviously knows it, loves it, can run on it, has excelled in it. I'm not sure exactly what else in this class, and there's not a world beater in here for sure. So I'm going to try to find a bit of value. I think in the last, he just kind of toyed with that starter optional claiming bunch on Valentine's Day and really pulled away with ease to win by 5 under wraps, kind of when you watch the replay on it. So I thought it was a pretty good performance. And obviously the figure came back a little bit low, but the pace was glacial. I mean, it was 47-4, 114. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? And Mai Mitole ran into that and finished up pretty well. So I don't know that number is indicative of the actual performance of that horse. I think he could have done a lot more. Kentucky bred. He's been winning against Open Company. Some of his rivals in here have just done their best work against state bred and restricted. So you kind of have to take that into account a bit when you look at how this might play out. His trainer, Carlos Martin, just red hot at Aqueduct in the last 3 weeks, winning, not 29% over the last 3 weeks, 616 ROI, and wins with dirt milers at 31% over the past year. So this is the spot, right? Matolis have come out running. He had 32-year-old winners last year. So they can run. I don't expect him to, relish a ton of longer distances, but this flat mile seems to be bullseye from a pedigree standpoint out of a Seeking the Gold mare. Second dam was by AP Indy, if you go back and look. So there's distance pedigree on the bottom side. So Matoli was kind of a miler at best. So I think you can get this distance, no problem against this class. Should have enough speed. I expect him to have enough speed to kind of find a good spot dropping over from the rail, and then maybe not anywhere on top, but probably right behind the leading group. I think he has enough cruising speed to be up there forwardly placed, should finish up well, and I'm going to look at him as a bit of a price in this race.
I love it. I think he'll get a price for sure. I mean, what do you think Garamond is going to be? Morning lines aren't out, but a Juddmonte, homebred, Chad Brown, Castellano in a grade 3. I would assume 1-1.
Yeah. I mean,
close to it.
So I don't have I don't know if you looked up the most, you mentioned last year's winner, but I feel like this is a race that is, I mean, yeah, you're going to have one of two results. You're going to have either an even money horse win, or you're going to have a 50-1 shot. I think that's the way that these New York preps have seemed to go the last couple of years. But yeah, I mean, obviously Juddmonte, Chad, that's the horse on, based on connection. That's going to take a good bit of money.
Okay, so here 2023, Ray's Kane won at odds of 23.5-1.
Exactly.
There you go. Deterministic was like 3-1.
Okay. I'm trying to think of. I guess maybe it was the Wood. Was it the Wood 2 years ago or 3? Where it's like a 60-71 shot. I forget what that was. I'm giving you too much work to do in real time as you're managing this show, so just ignore me. Corey, do you have a number 2 and number 3? Sort of underneath play, or do you want me to jump into a couple?
You can jump in there. I mean, I think, look, you have to respect, Sand Devil a bit, just based on performance, to be honest. And, Linda Rice wins a ton of races with a. So, I mean, you have to look at that and respect it. But I'm going to try to stay away from all state bred in this. I think it's going to be a Kentucky bred win this thing. But
yeah,
go ahead, dude. Tell me where you're landing. And
I don't know if this is like a hot take or not, but I like the 3 calling card. The horse is, finished 8th last out in the Lecomte. The horse's form is definitely dirtied up by the last couple of races. I think there are reasons and excuses. With the Lecomte specifically over the sloppy track, if you watch that replay, which we're not going to take a look at right now, the horse was never comfortable over the track. Just running, just looking to get out and looking to, find comfort somewhere. And it didn't come until late. And the thing that was impressive is that he still kind of ran on late. He finished 8th, but he's beaten less than 5 lengths.
Or no, who you're trying to see? Sorry.
Yeah, this is calling card, but calling card, the 3 horse. But we will come back to this replay that you have up here momentarily. Okay. This is the flood zone replay. But for calling card, the race I wanted to show was the Aqueduct race, 3 back, the maiden special weight. So this horse, card,
okay, I got that.
Yeah, so this horse, first 2 races on the turf, doesn't win. They try him on the dirt for the first time at Aqueduct at a mile, same setup as this race on Saturday, and he just does not break well. He's on the outside. I think he's there he is, just jumping up. Yep, that's him acting crazy. Kind of sits near the back of the field, and it's like, okay, well, that horse is probably going to have some work to do, right? Does he make a gradual move up the backstretch? Does he, how does he make up for that? And you could kind of fast forward a little bit here. He ends up just making he's making the move now. He's middle of the move right now. He's about to sweep the whole field. So he sweeps the field. And again, a horse breaks poorly, makes, a huge sweeping move like that down the backstretch. And you're like, well, surely he's going to fade. He's going to tire. Somebody's going to catch him late. So
he
let's
goes
see.
off by 17.
Let's see what happens. I mean, this is kind of a freaky performance. Like, even if those were the worst horses in the world, you still would not expect to see that. I don't see in the trip notes and the race notes any sort of major call out or indication that he had issues at the start, but he was severely hampered at the start. He lost a ton of ground, and really he was flat-footed. He had to literally start running. When all the horses were already kind of in full stride. So that was impressive. Then he comes back at Oaklawn, and it catches a really salty field. That field, I could tell you, was filled with good runners, including Sandman, who we mentioned a little while ago. I think the horse that he finished at Calling Card finished ahead of also won next out. So, like I said, the form is a little dirtied up. If you look at it, you take a quick glance at this horse, you're like, nah, this horse can't hang in stakes company. Isn't maybe a Derby, road to the Derby horse. But there's something there, and I think the fact that he's getting back to a mile here at Aqueduct, I mean, I'm all over this horse. In fact, in all my handicapping for any of these races, I think this horse it's something close to a lock. I'm not going to say he's an absolute lock, but I can't see him finishing any worse than second. And then the other horse that I like, who could be anything, is the 7 Flood Zone. We just had a replay up for him. This is his last race at Gulfstream. So this was also an interesting race in that, just kind of factoring pace dynamics for the race. Flood Zone, who's the 4 horse in this race, is up with the pace, and he's done a lot of work already. And he's got the 6-5 shot to his outside. So he's got the favorite coming up to his outside, who's had a better trip. He's about to sweep by, right? We've seen this a million times, right? The 9, he's a beast, kind of gets ahead of him, maybe a half length ahead of him, or at least ahead of him. And it's like, all right, well, he's going to just plummet through the field, Flood Zone. But no, watch what Flood Zone does here. Not only does he battle back.
So impressive.
Breaks.
What is this? What is this? This is insane. I mean, he was involved with the early pace.
And he was done.
He was done. He's passed.
It's it's just not something you see every day. And you've got the barn switch from Victor Barboza to Brad Cox, Reylu Gutierrez flying in for this. So this horse could be freaky. And if he's freaky, then maybe Calling Card doesn't win. But I'm 1-2. Like I told you, I'd hammer that exacta in the Fountain of Youth that I mentioned, the 6-7 exacta with the speed and River Thames. But this horse, this would be my other exacta that I hit pretty hard. Flood Zone, Calling Card, and respect, Corey, to Mai Mitole. I mean, I think there's a ton of talent there. To me, these two, there's freak potential, and a horse that I see win like a freak over the track, over the course and distance. I'm like, I got to go to these 2 horses. So that's where I landed.
So you're calling out Calling Card's going to win by 17 and a quarter length last time?
No, I don't think it's going to be that dramatic, but I don't know. I think he could win by a decent amount, unless Flood Zone is something special. Which, if he's something special, I don't know if they would have sent him to New York. They might have wanted to test him a little bit by sending him down to Florida. Or leaving him in Florida rather, as opposed to sending him down to Florida.
He's been working at Payson. Yeah.
What's that?
No, he's been working at Payson. So
they obviously really wanted to run this race. I guess. Yeah. I mean, no knock on the Gotham this year, but it seems probably the easiest path for 50 points this weekend, I would say, or at least
Ben, I do have to really quickly before you jump in with your pick, which is interesting. I love Dan's confidence that, I mean, in those 2 picks, it's not, I think they might win. They're going to win by distance, and they're going to be 1-2.
And the only reason the other one won't win is because the other horse.
Correct. And it could be a considerable amount back to the rest of the field. I mean, that is confidence right there. I love
it. I got to respect it. Yeah.
Respect to the rest of the field. Look, if I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to be all the way wrong. So
Good. Do it. Take a stand. I love it. Ben, who you got? Who's going to win by 12 lengths?
I don't think by 12 lengths, but I do like a little bit of a price, or at least I'm guessing will be a price. But Normandy Coast, All right. I'm going to take a gamble that he is not just a sprinter, which is what I'm most worried about, but we shall find out. Omaha Beach Colt and Eddie Keneally barn with Ben Curtis aboard, who we just saw aboard Magnitude, romp by 9 3/4 lengths at 43-1 in the Risen Star. So maybe this is the season of Ben Curtis. He's got a fantastic first name. But Keneally and Curtis win at 26% together in all races. You got that one. Together at all races on the dirt in the last 3 years, 71% in the money. They have a lot of starts together, 6 wins from 23 starts. Ran 4th on career debut, made special weight at Churchill and Juneau last year, and actually beat Sandman in that race. So, yeah, I don't know. We've been talking a lot about Sandman.
How many races does Sandman run?
He's been a part of like every major event for a 3-year-old. Anyway, so he did beat Sandman there. He didn't win, but he got there 4th, and Sandman got 5th. Came back to win in the main special weight at Ellis in July with Jareth Loveberry aboard, and then takes a 6-month layoff. Runs back on January 11th at Fairgrounds, winning an AOC 110,000, running a 91 equibase speed figure with Ben Curtis aboard. I thought super impressive race, had some left in the tank, and had late rallies on either side, on the inside and outside, and he was in the middle and just stayed true to it and finished really well. That was at the 6 furlong distance, so he'll be running a route for the first time. However, he has won at 7 furlongs. And also at a mile aqueduct, as we know, is just one turn, so it could not be an issue. Past 3 years, Keneally wins at 30% with horses going from sprints to routes who won last time out. I don't know. I just find it very interesting that Keneally's bringing him up to aqueduct instead of staying at Fairgrounds. And what's really, really, really interesting is he owns this horse too.
Yeah.
So he must really have an idea of what he wants and thinks he has a pretty good shot. Really nice bullet work on February 15th as well, going 5 furlongs in a minute flat. So yeah, I mean, I would assume Garamond will be close to odds on, and Sacrosanct and Sand Devil probably 5-2. But we'll see. I think you'll definitely get my Matoli. You'll get a huge price on, and same with Calling Card. And not to knock on Calling Card, but Mike Maker's 0 for 7 in stakes races in the past year. We're in the stat lines on EchoBase.com.
I wanted to knock your horse based on research that I did on Racelines. So only one of Keneally's last 19 runners have won going from allowance to stakes company on the dirt. So you have that. So
there you go. Yep. No, and also the mare is 0 for 12 with progeny on routes. I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a chance on this.
I'll let you guys argue about stats all day. That's usually my chair. You guys.
You're the stats handicapper. You're coming in here bringing a stats-driven knowledge to this podcast.
Honestly, this very special Sandman episode of the Inside
for real.
It's amazing.
It all comes back to Sandman.
Exactly. That's well. I think by the end of this weekend, we're gonna know where Sandman stands.
I would say
nothing else. We may not know anything about the horses who are actually running this weekend, but we'll have a good sense for where Sandman stands in this whole picture.
We will know the quality of Sandman and the average stride length.
Okay.
Exactly.
Oh man, this has just been so much fun, guys. Thank you so much. We're almost about an hour here, so that's all the time we have. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Corey, and thank you so much, everybody, for watching and listening. Good luck in your wagers this weekend, and we'll see you next week.